Oh yeah, we're talking about the Pokemans. Dude, I love Pokemon. But I mean, who doesn't? Besides people that aren't into Pokemon, I guess, which is fine. It's fine. But I have wanted to be the very best like no one ever was ever since I was in junior high, and my grandfather got me a Game Boy Color along with Pokemon Yellow. That's right, I didn't even tell him which game I wanted. I just said, get me a Pokemon game, and he naturally, because of how awesome he is, he picked Pokemon Yellow and made all of my friends jealous because they were running around with their little red and blue, and I had the colorful Pokemon Yellow and was owning all their faces with my Pikachu. Back then, Pokemania was running through my veins. I was watching the show, I was collecting the cards, I even got excited over the Burger King toys. But nothing came close to how awesome the games were. I mean, think about how cool it was to be a kid back then when all the cool video games were left at home because they were on the console, and all we had to play with at school were Pogs. Ugh, Pogs were stupid. But then Nintendo released two games, Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue, for the Game Boy Color, and everything changed. Soon after, they released Pokemon Yellow, and these three games would go on to be known as Generation 1 of the Pokemon franchise. Now, I think we're all familiar with how Pokemon works. You're a character in a new region. You go around and you battle Pokemon. You can catch them and then use them in battle and catch as many Pokemon as you can. Also, leveling up the Pokemon that you have so that they can become stronger. Your Pokemon can evolve, which introduces you to new Pokemon. You catch and evolve your Pokemon, you level them up as much as you can. You go to each town and challenge the gyms. There are 8 total gym leaders with 8 total badges, and once you get the 8 badges, you go on to challenge the champions of the Pokemon League and become the Pokemon Master. Now that in itself was amazing, but what really took Pokemon to the next level was when you realized that you could link up with your friends and either trade Pokemon or have Pokemon battles. And that is what changed the game completely, because now, not only were you just sticking with the status quo to beat the NPCs in the games, you were now having to really strategize in competitive gameplay with your friends, and that is what makes Pokemon amazing. You see, you have to realize back then we didn't have Xbox Live. We didn't have games like World of Warcraft where multiplayer was what it is today. So Nintendo had really broken ground with this game called Pokemon, and it was amazing. I remember having recesses back in junior high where all we did was have Pokemon battles. We had Pokemon tournaments, which I was the Pokemon champion of Wentz Middle School, baby. Woo! And from that day forward, for over a decade, we have seen Pokemon evolve through a total of 6 generations. Many people had said that Pokemon was just a fad and it would one day die off. And many still say that to this day, especially the Gen 1ers who insist that the only good Pokemon game was the first generation. Now granted, the first generation of Pokemon is still among the top 20 best-selling games of all time, but almost every generation of Pokemon since then is still within the top 50 best-selling games of all time. So Nintendo and Pokemon have proven that they are here to stay. And Pokemon, in my opinion, is a pillar and a staple in the video game industry. Pokemon is the kind of game that not only sells a console, but pushes that console to become better than it ever could be. I believe that Pokemon is the #1 reason why Nintendo's mobile market has progressed and has been as successful as it is to this day. We have seen Pokemon grow from its original 151 to over 700 total Pokemon. We have seen the land of Pokemon expand over 6 regions, including Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova, and Kalos. We have gone from the limitations of link cables to online access through Wi-Fi, which has drastically improved the multiplayer experience. And we have seen vast improvements in graphics, audio quality, and game mechanics, most significantly in the latest Pokemon release, Pokemon X and Pokemon Y. And while Game Freak has held true to its outstanding and timeless formula of catching and battling Pokemon, we have been wowed by the evolution that Pokemon has gone through over 6 generations. And I have been there every step of the way, from my early days in junior high to my most recent experience on my 28th birthday when I picked Fennekin as my starter. Which was actually a mistake, because later on I picked Charmander because I wanted Mega Charizard because I got Pokemon X, and now I have 2 fire starters and it's stupid. I should have picked Froakie because he's water and he turns into a ninja frog and it's cool. But no, I got a stupid looking Braxton fox. I'm dumb. Stupid. I even managed to make it through those dark days when I ran into Whitney's milk tank. Oh god. Freaking milk tank, dude. Freaking rollout. Freaking, what kind of cow drinks its own milk? Would someone tell me what kind of cow drinks its own milk? That's disgusting. Stupid freaking milk. The bottom line, Pokemon is one of the greatest gaming experiences I've ever had. And while it may not be a perfect game, it is the only one of its kind, and it does what it set out to do very well. I mean, let's be honest, most of Pokemon's limitations and setbacks are really on Nintendo's mobile infrastructure. I mean, why are friend codes still a thing? And yeah, there are some things that could be improved on, like balance, for example, and I know it's almost impossible to balance over 700 Pokemon, but like, I almost wish legendaries weren't a thing, because I'm sick of seeing them in trade, and I'm sick of seeing them in battles because everybody uses them. It's dumb. Oh, and my biggest one? I think HMs need to go away. Like, completely. Most of them are useless in combat and take up your abilities, and everyone has to have like an HM slave so that they can have them around, and yet they don't use them in combat. It's completely counterintuitive to what the game's all about. My idea is to get rid of HMs and then have Pokemon who are predisposed to having those abilities come with them naturally as like a hidden ability that you don't use in combat, but it's available for when you need stuff. Like, so when you unlock Cut through a badge, all your clawed Pokemon can now cut. All your winged Pokemon can fly. All your water Pokemon can surf. You see where I'm going with this? That is genius to me, because you don't remove the gameplay mechanics, but you're also not gimping your players by having to use these stupid HMs, which most of them, besides Surf, are pretty much useless because they're crappy, weak abilities, and it's stupid. End rant. So those are some things that I think could change in the game. I'd like to see the game evolve past them, but hey, Pokemon is still one of the greatest experiences of all time, and I am looking forward to see what Pokemon is going to bring to me in future generations to come.